Welcome to Kick Him in the Head, a podcast that takes an inside look at the world of mixed martial arts, featuring interviews from some of the top fighters from South Africa and around the world, with a focus on the EFC and UFC promotions. I'm your host, Yao. Join us as we delve deep into the techniques, strategies, and mindsets of these world-class athletes, learning from their experiences and getting insights into what it takes to succeed in the toughest sport on earth. Welcome to the Kick 'em in the Head podcast. And as always, I have an absolutely stacked, jam-packed MMA episode for you. And today, as I said on the recap show, today for me is a very special day because today we are having a show and we are going deep into all things Drickus Du Plessis versus Israel, the style bender Adesanya. The most electrifying, the most exciting fight for me since the Three Kings were the Three Kings. And that is said without any irony at all. Well, let me welcome to the stage my panel of what we are talking about today. So, as you can see that we have Drickus Du Plessis. We're talking about the Springboks. We're talking about Luke Micheal. We're talking about UFC. We're talking about all things MMA. And I'm really excited, mostly because we have Drickus versus Israel. Now, I've said this the whole week. This fight for me is feeling very, very personal. This fight at UFC 305, which should have been held in Africa, but besides that, this fight feels very, very personal for me. We have on the left the champion, Drickus Du Plessis from South Africa, against the one and only Israel, the style bender, Adesanya from Nigeria. Now, these two men's stories have them colliding in the most amazing way in what is being billed as the fight of the African champion, for the African champion. Whoever wins this will be called the African champion. Israel, a migrant from Nigeria, lived in Ghana, moved to New Zealand. Similar to me, my story, parents moved from Ghana, stayed some time in Nigeria, moved to South Africa. Now we have down the road the reality that Drickus has spoken about, the title, living under the African sun. That is what Drickus represents. Israel, legendary middleweight fighter, one of the best to ever do it at middleweight, one of the best to ever do it, period. This clash signifies how important African MMA is. It's not the only African fight we're talking about in the show, but this fight shows that African MMA is at the pinnacle. We had the Three Kings. The reason this fight has gotten so heated, the Three Kings, Israel, Kamaru, Francis, at the same time, three African champions. For the UFC not to come to Africa makes no sense. We have Dana White, the president of the UFC, saying if Drickus wins this fight, he will definitely make UFC Africa. At this point, no matter who wins this fight, UFC Africa needs to happen. This fight has just really got me so excited. And these two guys, we know, we've watched them the entire week. We've seen the UFC countdown. We've seen how Eugene Berman's been training with Israel. We've seen how Mornay Fist has been training with Drickus. And I think this is just going to be an absolutely epic clash of the middleweights in the UFC. Now, the two guys, if we have a look at them, if we have a look at the tape, they're fairly similar. 21 wins for Drickus, 24 wins for Israel, 3 losses for Israel. We know those 3 wins. Obviously, the first one was when he decided to go up to middleweight and challenge Jan Blachowicz, which didn't go his way. Then we've got the loss against, obviously, Alex Pereira and Sean Strickland. Then with Drickus' 2 losses, he's undefeated in the UFC. He's got 9 knockouts. Israel has 16 knockouts. But one stat that I think is very important, which Israel will definitely be very cognizant of, be very cautious of, is that submissions count by Drickus' name, 10 submissions. So if you look at it, Drickus has 19 finishes. Israel has 16. Yes, all by knockout, but that means if it goes to the ground, what can Israel do? And if we've looked at his sparring footage, if we've looked at the videos of what's been happening in his camp, he's been doing a lot of grappling, a lot of groundwork, a lot of sparring to make sure that if Drickus takes him to the ground, he doesn't lose the fight. And I think that's a good idea, just looking at the stats, the basic stats. But these two guys are absolutely ready. We saw them engaging. We've seen quite frankly, very commensurate Israel, saying, I've got no hate for Drickus, but when he decided to speak up, open his mouth, and disrespect the three kings, I had to come in and correct it, and I'm going to show him. And that's all it is for Israel, is whether or not you are a champion, whether or not you are a great, amazing fighter, do not disrespect those who came before you and built where you are. Yes, it's 2 losses. Shout out to Naz OG in the chats. Big up, Naz. Big up, big up, big up. Thank you for pulling through. Don't forget to smash the likes, people. Let's get the likes up. Let's get the subscription up. To anyone listening, let your people watch at Head Kickpot on YouTube. Now, we have Israel, who's been training and sparring, and we think he's ready. Drickus has been training and sparring. We think he's ready. Right now, they're in the middle of the weight cut. In the South African press, he is all over the news. Every single news bulletin says that Drickus is going to be fighting against Israel, and the entire South Africa is backing Drickus. Still knocks Du Plessis. Gareth Soldier Boy McClellan, one of his former adversaries, is in his camp in Perth. It's going to be an absolutely amazing fight. But whoever's not excited about this, smash the likes and the subs. Like Rosie says, big up, Rosie. Salute. Thank you so much for pulling through. As always, absolutely love it. Big up the Fight Week show. Big up the Fight Week show. You know how we do Dust Up, Shakedown. Your prediction shows tomorrow. Looking forward to that as well. But this fight, I mean, what more can we say about this fight? And we've been talking about the shorts. They started with the custom shorts not so long ago. We've seen Max Holloway's custom shorts. We've seen Bryce Mitchell's cargo shorts. Now we get these champion shorts that are being worn by Drickus and Israel. Now, I don't know what you guys think about these shorts, but I think they are absolutely fire. These shorts are absolutely amazing. Shout out Naz and Rosie. Absolutely stunning. Israel, the color, I didn't see that color coming, but it's that's the style bender. If I think about the shorts the style bender would wear, those are style bender shorts. Those shorts are absolutely smoking hot. Then we've got Drickus. Those are quintessentially green and gold champion shorts. I see him winning the title in those pants, those shorts, those trunks are wow. Look, honestly, the designers at the UFC definitely need to take a bow. We need to all stand up, clap, and give them an absolute standing ovation for some amazing work. This is some brilliant tailoring. I can't even stop going on about how amazing these shorts are. And like I said, we've seen quite a few of the customs coming out. We saw the Union Jack ones. Thank you, Fight Week show. The Union Jack ones worn by Tom Aspinall when he defended against Curtis Blades. Those were amazing. So yeah, I'm just really happy with exactly what's going on in the UFC and where they're taking their shorts. Those Izzy ones, I mean, you can wear those anywhere and look absolutely fire. So yeah, absolutely loving the work the UFC is putting in there. Yes, Fight Week show, Leroy. Yes, we do remember that Reebok era. Those shorts were puke worthy. Honestly, they were plain and strangely complicatedly gross. Like, I don't even know how they did it. Those shorts were hideous. Although I must say, I'm a big fan of the gold and black for the champion. I think it really adds that championship look when you're fighting. I remember when Kamaru Usman was champion and he would always wear the black and gold trunks. Oh, when he walked in, you're like, that. So for me, that's one thing, is I definitely like the black and gold trunks. And I think that's probably why I like Izzy's trunks, because those look like championship trunks. Those black and gold trunks are championship trunks for me. So yeah, they went out there to make them look like shite. That's very true, Leroy. Those shorts, it looked like they did them on purpose to make them look like crap. But what are we gonna do as fans? Nothing but take it all in and wait until we get some good stuff like this, because this is some amazing trunks. Now, we talked about how ready these guys must be for the fight. We've seen what they're wearing. We know they're going to be looking amazing. We've seen the stats. We've seen who needs to watch out where. But one thing that came out in the UFC countdown this past week that came out was the method of training used at Team CIT. The method of training used by the one and only, and at this point, champion coach, Mornay Visser. Now, yes, Leroy, Oz and South Africa might as well have the same flag, to be honest with you. It's crazy. Taser time, exactly. Now, it's not something that we've seen before, but in the countdown show, we had Mornay Visser, the coach, Drickus' coach, tasing guys in training to get them to act right. Yeah, you heard it. He had a taser, the rod ones, a little bit of charge at the end, and in his words, if you put your foot in the wrong place, if you kick wrong, if you do something wrong, you get tased and you will remember it. And what was fun is that Drickus was like, yeah, it's better than a post-it, better than a sticky note. Shock me. But hey, look, if it works, it works. Why? Because Team CIT has gotten so much gold in the past 2 years that you can't really doubt the methods they are using. In the local EFC, the regional scene, the regional MMA scene, they've gotten the light heavyweight title, they've gotten the welterweight title, they've gotten the bantamweight title, they've gotten the flyweight title. I mean, they've literally been collecting gold using these methods. So, I mean, if you're going to shock someone and get gang gold and they don't complain about it, well, look, and I mean, this is South Africa. We do have controversial coaching methods in the past. If you look at the rugby coaches of the past who've gone through 2 World Cups fairly successfully, very dubious methods. Not a taser, but certain camps that we shan't mention. So, hey, we don't know what else is happening there. But nonetheless, it works. Team CIT, Drickus, let's get it. Let's go. I think the taser is going to help him win. And the other thing that's definitely going to help Drickus in this coming UFC 305, something's got not just me excited, but the entire South Africa excited, is the fact that he will be walked out by 2 other world champions. Not in MMA. If you don't know who those 2 on the screen are at the bottom, he will be walked out by the Rugby World Cup holders, World Cup champions, world champions, Siya Kolisi and Ibn Itabeth. Absolutely momentous moment in South Africa. That's when you know someone has reached absolute superstardom, at least definitely in their own region, is when they're on things like The Masked Singer. Yes, if you didn't know about it, Drickus can sing. Drickus Du Plessis can sing. He was on The Masked Singer here in South Africa, and he absolutely shocked us all. We couldn't believe that this guy can fight. He can sing. Okay, cool. I've got 2. But I'm sure he can do a lot more. But he's multi-talented, and this walk-in is going to be led. He is going to be walked in by 2 other world champions in the form of Siya Kolisi, the South African Springbok captain, and Ibn Itabeth. Now, those 2 are in Perth. They are in Australia for their own match. They're playing against the Wallabies this coming weekend, 11:45 South African time in the morning. And they've decided to come together with their fellow world champion and be there to walk him out when he walks out on Saturday night if you're in Australia, and Sunday morning if you are in South Africa. The entire country is absolutely titillating. Yes, I said it, titillating at this coming fight. It's just really, really exciting. And as I just said, so to anyone listening, don't forget the Springboks are playing this coming weekend, 17th of August, 11:45. Check your local broadcasting for the schedule. It's going to be a great match. They haven't played against the Wallabies in a while. And heck, the South African Wallaby, the Springbok Wallaby rivalry is one that's, I mean, it's over a century, it's almost a century old. They've been doing battle for years. Now we're down under, looking to defend the UFC middleweight title as the Springboks are battling one of our old foes, Australia. So I'm very, very excited about the Springbok match that's coming. Absolutely love the fact that we are back down under, facing up against the Wallabies. Fight Week Show says, haven't got a hope. Their team is a B-tier team at best, the Wallabies. Well, unfortunately, that's what happens when you pull out of like rugby, super rugby, you know. I stopped watching rugby when Super Rugby stopped because it broke my heart. I loved Super Rugby so much. Super Rugby is just the best. It was amazing. South Africa, New Zealand, Australia, and then we had in the Argentinian teams as well. It was the Pumas. It was Super Rugby. And then COVID came, and that was the one thing that COVID killed that really broke my heart, was that it took away Super Rugby. But here we go. We've got Rugby Championship. We've got Australia, South Africa coming up on Saturday. Looking forward to it. Going to be an amazing match. Yes, Leroy. B team means the Springboks will be the A team. Let's get it. Let's go. Now, obviously, UFC 305 is not just Drickus versus Israel. There are more fights on the card, and there's a few fights that I want to talk about. Yes, as always, bringing out my inner Dana. Now, we've got quite a few interesting fights, and if you know anything about the Australian fighters, there's a few Australian fighters that are very popular here on the card. The ones I do want to point out are the fight between, well, it's not an Australian fight, but between Li Jianliang and Carlos Prates. Now, that's a very, very interesting match. We've got Li, the Leech, Jingliang. Now, I think the last time we saw him was when he was getting choked out by Khamzat Chimaev, or at least that's the most memorable occasion that we last saw him. He hasn't fought in a while due to various reasons, travel. Then his last fight got canceled at the last minute. So he hasn't had the best luck in terms of fights, but he's going up against a very, very, very dangerous Carlos Prates. Now, Carlos is on a 9-fight win streak, an absolutely scintillating win streak. He's gone up against some of the best fighters. And when we look at his record, you see his record, it's very, very similar to the Leech's, very, very similar to Zhang Liang. But he is on an absolute tear. He's a skilled, high-level, highly skilled jiu-jitsu artiste out of Brazil. And, you know, if you're an MMA fan, you love the Leech and you'd like to see the Leech fight. But I think this is going to be an absolute bulldozing by Prates, but it's going to be a good fight. That fight I'm really, really looking forward to watching. We've then got Tai Tuivasa Bam Bam versus Jairzinho Rosenstrike. Now, this is an interesting battle. This is a very, very interesting battle, specifically because of the stakes. Now, if we're looking at Tuivasa versus Rosenstrike, you're looking at a street fighter versus a kickboxing champion, a world kickboxing champion. Yes, that is a dope graphic fight week show because it came from you. World kickboxing champion, shout out fight week show. World kickboxing champion from Suriname in the form of Jairzinho Rosenstrike. Now, Rosenstrike, he's a great fighter, but where it comes to his MMA career, he seems to be on and off, win, lose, win, win. So I think it's a very good test to see him against, and he's obviously heading towards the end of his career, but it's a good test to see him against Bam Bam, to see him against someone who won't come at him in a conventional way, but will come at him hard and come at him fast, at least for the first round and a half, maybe 2 rounds. But Bam Bam being on the slightly heavier side, he will probably tire out as the fight goes on. I'm thinking Rosenstrike probably in the 2nd or 3rd round will probably take it. I don't know. We'll see. I think he might just be a bit too much for Bam Bam. However, I am hoping that Tuivasa can put something together and actually win this because who doesn't love Bam Bam? I mean, when he wins, he drinks out of a shoe. How can you not love that? So I'm looking forward to that fight, definitely. Then we've got Dan Hooker, the Hangman, versus Mateus Gamrot. Now, if you're an MMA fan, you know that Dan Hooker has not been the same since the Dustin Poirier fight. That Dustin Poirier fight did a lot of damage to Dan, but the Hangman is still in there. He got on this card. Izzy said, listen, if we're fighting in Australia, you have to put the Hangman on this card. Dan has to fight, and he got him on this card. And we have him against Mateus Gamrot, who, I mean, it's going to be a hell of a fight. Definitely lots of kicks on the feet. Oh, I don't know who's going to take that one. I think Mateus, simply because Dan, well, I'm not really a big Dan Hooker fan. I know there's lots of Hangman fans out there. So please, yes, speak for your Hangman. But I'm looking forward to Gamrot probably climbing the ranks a little bit, and just a good fight, honestly. They're 2 amazing fighters, and it's going to be a great fight. Then the co-main event of Du Plessis Adesanya. Kai Kara-France versus Steve Erceg. Interesting fight, very interesting fight. We have Steve, who's out down number 7. Kai France, I think he's number 3. in the flyweight division. Now, these two guys have not met before. We've got Usyk, who recently fought for the title, who was defeated by Pantoja. We have Kara France, who has never fought for the title, but has been around for a while. Am I hung? It's a hung jury on the hangman, Leroy. Hung jury on the hangman. So Kara France has had quite a few setbacks recently in terms of losses, but he's an absolutely electrical fighter. But I think Steve Usyk might just have the edge here. I think he's got this extra level of precision, which got him to where he is right now. This extra level of precision that I think might just unsettle and defeat Kara France. Kara France, not that he's a bad fighter, but I think Kara France might just not have an answer for the precision that Usyk might be throwing at him. We saw Usyk's recent wins, and I think that's definitely it's going to be a good fight. But I have Steve Usyk in that fight, and of course, the main event: Drickus Du Plessis versus Israel Adesanya. I'm going Israel. Sorry, I'm going Drickus because, well, I still want to be able to drive down the road and see the title. It's really that simple. I love you, Israel, legend, but I mean, it was disrespectful to the Three Kings, sure, but I mean, it's down the road, bro. I'm sorry. It's a bit selfish, but hey, what are we gonna say? So yeah, this is the card for UFC 305. Stacked, love it, great card. Not the greatest card, but a card worth watching. Let's hope they can do Drickus better on the Africa card after he wins this, because like I said at the top of the show, Dana's looking to bring this here if Drickus wins. Like I said, he should bring it either way, but if Drickus wins, UFC Africa is happening, and then they better give him an absolutely stacked card, because the Canada card, even Dana apologized for the Canada card. He said, oh, guys, sorry, this card was kind of crap. And this card, it's okay. It's okay. But the next time that Du Plessis fights, Dana, you have to give him an absolutely stacked card. Shout out Fight Week Show in the chats. Nickel is Aussie making his UFC debut, currently undefeated. Oh, that's an interesting one. So we have an undefeated fighter on the card. Nickel versus Aguilar, a flyweight battle, which opens up the prelims on UFC 305. So definitely look out for that one. It's always good to see when an undefeated fighter is looking to defend his O, because sometimes that O has got to go. One. So, as I said, there's so much talent in the Africa space where it comes to MMA. And this weekend, we have the PFL having its light heavyweight semifinals, where we have Impa Kasanganai, last year's light heavyweight champion, Impa Kasanganai, fighting in this light heavyweight season fight. Now, the last time we saw Impa, he was out in a very, very tough fight. He managed to come up with the victory on that one, but now he fights again. Now, these are obviously the semifinals. He wins this, he goes to the finals, which is obviously what we would like to see. Y'all just hang on for a second. The joy of having kids. So, as I say, Impa Sanganai, yes. Now, obviously, his other claim to fame, we all know, is, and unfortunately for him, he keeps on, although he said he does somewhat enjoy it, but he keeps on being mentioned in the same breath as that absolutely nasty ninja kick from the one and only Joaquin Buckley. Ha. Oh my God, I almost died. Yes, the one and only Joaquin Buckley. So this PFL season semifinal is shaping up to be a good one. This is the most interesting fight on the card, but we look forward to seeing what else happens on this card when Impa fights in the semifinal and looks to defend his title, his light heavyweight title, PFL light heavyweight title, and to get the million, because we know it's all about that $1 million at the end of the season. Well, that's something the sponsors and Ghani hasn't really come up with yet. But one other fighter that we want to talk about this week, and it's a fighter that we absolutely love. You know him, we know him. It's the one and only Eliezer King Kong Kubanza. Now, King Kong didn't have the opportunity to fight in the last BraveCF8. His opponent pulled out after being overweight, Karim Rabai. And that was a fight that was going to be absolutely fantastic. I was really looking forward to that fight. But unfortunately, he did not manage to fight in that fight. He is now on the new card, BraveCF8, out in Lahore, Pakistan. So if you want to tune in to BraveCF8, you can tune in to watch the one and only King Kong, Eliezer Kubanza, going up against a Kyrgyzstan opponent in the form of Orokazkunov. Now, if you know anything about Eliezer Kubanza and his record, he is an absolute monster, an absolute beast. He trains out in Indonesia, Soma Fight Club. He trains with the current bantamweight champion in BraveCF in the form of Nkosi the Future Ndebele. And he's one of those fighters where he's referred to as the scariest fighter in his promotion. He's the scariest fighter in Brave. It's really that simple. And having him back in the cage is very, very exciting. I'm really looking forward to him fighting this coming weekend. So Eliezer Kubanza, Godspeed, good luck, and let's kick him in the head. Once again, as you did in your debut, let's get it, let's go. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him fight again. Ooh, we jumped a little bit there because before we do that,
Fighter of the Week.
Fighter of the Week.
So I preempted it, but as we have it, here is my fighter of the week. The UFC middleweight champion, Luke Young Gun Micheal. Now, why is Luke my champion, my fighter of the week? Where Luke was, and if anyone's watched the show, you know that Luke was the first guest on our show. He's one of the reasons this show happened. To see how it was for him to be off for 2 years, wasn't able to fight for 2 whole years, which is a very, very long time in the fight game. To come back, battling ring rust, making sure he's fully healthy, and then losing the way he did to JP Kruger. It takes a lot to come back 3 events later to say, I'm here to fight again. It takes luck that the guy who won chose to retire and it was vacant, but to say, I am ready. I know the mistakes I made the last time. I am here to reclaim the title that I had. I'm here to show that I'm better than I was when I lost. That is what he did. And so for me, that is why Luke Micheal, the middleweight champion, the EFC, is my fighter of the week. What do you know? My last slide. So with all of that said, I think for me, UFC 305 is the one thing that we all have to look out for right now. It's the most exciting thing happening. I'm really, really excited. I cannot wait to see Drickus get walked out by Sia Kulisi and Ibn Etzebeth. I cannot wait to see those shorts on him and Israel Adesanya. I cannot wait to see them do battle. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. I am so excited about this fight card. I'm just... to everyone listening at Head Kick Pod on all platforms, as always, do not forget to comment, like, and subscribe. On Twitter, you can follow us. That's where we have all our content, all our engagements to all the fighters. If you want to see all the content we have from the EFC events that we attend, they are on our Instagram. To all our YouTube followers, please do comment. We do want to hear from you. We do want to know who you want us to talk to next. We have lots of interviews with all your favorite fighters, so please do like, comment, subscribe, send it to all your friends. Shout out the Fight Week Show. Shout out Leroy. Shout out Ola, the Rambling Dad podcast, Jordan, all the guys at the Dust Up Shakedown. See you next week, Wednesday. Kick him in the head. We're out. Salute.